Okay, how do we start this then?
I think you just did.
Okay, cool. Hey, welcome. We are here at Rooted in Nashville, Tennessee, hanging with the one and only Phangs. How are we doing today?
Good. It's rainy.
Yeah, it's rainy. We're listening to Drake earlier. It all makes sense. This all comes together now. So I have not seen you since you had gotten home from tour.
Yeah.
You had just played 6,000 shows in living rooms, which is still buck wild to me. Explain to me that. Explain to me this whole thing and how you went around the entire country in your car, like, solo.
It was a joke. It was supposed to be a joke. It was on Twitter, and my fiance Hope and we were coming back from Memphis, and where her family is, and I think I jokingly tweeted, like, all these kids were like, come play in my basement, come play in my house, come play in my living room, play in my dorm room, and I tweeted and was like, yeah, I'll come play in your bedroom, like, DM me. And I went to sleep that night and then, like, woke up with, like, so many DMs. They were just like, I don't know, like, come play in my living room. I live in this city. And I, like, went through it and tried to make a route, and then I realized I needed to make it into 2 routes. And then I realized it needed to be, like, 4 routes. And it was, like, the biggest thing. And it worked out. And I booked an entire tour through Twitter DMs, PayPal, and that's it. And, like, my notes app on my phone.
Well, so then how many shows? How many, like, are you just doing this with literally a kid on DMs, like, shooting it? Okay. So then where'd you start? Like, how? No one does this. Explain this.
Yeah. So, like, I literally just, like, I DM'd somebody. After they DM'd me, like, where they were from, that they were interested, I was like, cool, I can come to your place. The hardest part was, like, getting the route, because people from, like, Canada are emailing me, or, like, DMing me, and, like Seattle, but also people from, like, Kentucky and Ohio and, like, New York. Like, it's everywhere. So, like, trying to figure out an actual driving route that I could really do, I had to go through and do that first. So on my notes, everything was literally on my phone. I, like, didn't even touch my computer for this thing. So, like, on my notes, I had just, like, a list of every possible city that was
doable. Yeah.
And then I went through and then, like, tried to make it, like, okay, this is only 5 hours away. This is only, like, 3 hours, 6 hours. And then, like, there were so many in California that, like, getting to California was, like, across Texas, over to New Mexico, through Arizona, like, to, from Nashville. It's a haul. And so, I just, like, did that whole thing and, like, hit them back up and was like, yeah, we can do this.
And you showed up, like, knock on the door, like, hey, I got my
there were a few moms that would, like, email me and be like, hey, are you gonna, like, murder us? Are you gonna, like,
is this how this ends?
Did you steal my money?
The answer is yes. Obviously, you'll never see me again.
Yeah, it's a bunch of dead parents. I don't know.
Cool.
But yeah, it was really cool. It was interesting because, like, I don't know, like, I played new songs and I played old songs, and
did you play any covers?
I played one cover. I played Sweater Weather.
Oh, really?
Yeah, like, it was cool.
Oh, that's cute. Okay.
I did that song, and then but I did, like, this song I Forgot You. It's a new song on Happy Season, and when I played that, the very first show, it was, like, in Birmingham, Alabama. Didn't know what to think. It's like 60 kids in a living room, and this girl was, like, crying as soon as I got done playing it, and she was just like, don't play that song again. Damn. And I was like, okay, like, but it's wild because, like, at a venue, like, I don't ever talk. Like, you've seen me play a show, like, I get weird and I talk too much. I end up on, like, a Kanye West rant, and I just don't want to do that. And so, like, on this tour, it was just like, I did a Q&A every show. Like, they asked me about, like, my dogs and about Hope and about, like, the New Orleans Saints, like, anything.
The only, like, 5 things you care about.
Yeah.
3 dogs,
sneakers,
fiance,
like,
and the New Orleans Saints. Okay.
We talked about, like, everything, and it was cool. And, like, I never talked about my songs, and so they would ask me questions of, like, where they came from. So it was really cool. I don't know, like, you don't get that experience at a venue. Yeah. Because mostly, like, with the lights, I can't even see past, like, 2 rows. Yeah. So, like, I literally could, like, make eye contact with everybody the whole time. It was cool.
How do you, this is something that I think is so interesting, like, for your fan base, like, there's such, like a trusted, like, tight-knit thing, but you're starting to get bigger. Your name is, like, you're scaling. Yeah. How do you maintain that like that you can still see that like one girl out of the 60 who's like weeping.
Yeah.
How do you maintain that as you start to become more poppin'?
I mean, we've been to like Mexican restaurants before, you and I, where you see my phone.
Yeah.
Like,
which is terrifying. Let the record show, let every person know.
I keep my notifications on.
I can't see your phone because it just never stops and it just gives me anxiety. Yeah.
So like I keep my notifications on for like everything. I talk to everyone. So like I know whenever like I get a merch order from
everyone from
yeah,
anything.
for example, like random example. There's a girl in Indianapolis. Her name is Mary Catherine.
Shout out Mary Catherine. Where did Mary Catherine?
But her Twitter handle, her name on there is MKK, and I know that that's who that is because it's a real life. Like I know who these people are. I talk to them every day. So when I fill out the merch order, I can just put MKK.
Oh, that's awesome.
And like when she gets that, she knows that I know.
Yeah.
Like we are all like, it's a real like. Even though it's getting bigger, there's a base, and the base is like. That's the real thing. Like I don't know how to like.
I just think it's so fascinating. Like no one.
I care about it. I don't know.
Yeah, like there's an amount of empathy involved in caring about the kids who will show up because when you're playing to 6,000, whenever, like those first 60 were the ones who brought all their friends.
Yeah,
I think
totally.
That's so important.
Yeah,
that's amazing. And so are there more shows? Are you doing more house things?
Yeah.
Like what comes next then?
So I'm doing one more. Like when Happy Season comes out, that's about to come out, and then. The next week, I leave on a Happy Season house tour.
Is Hope joining you on this, or you just running solo?
I think she might come out for some of it, maybe.
Hell yeah! Okay, cool. Good.
But yeah, I'm doing like another. It's like 2 more legs, and then that includes like South by Southwest. It includes a few like festival things. It includes like some full band shows.
Rad.
But. Yeah, it's been crazy.
A lot more. So then wait, what are the South by dates? Has that announced yet? Are we confirmed on these things or what?
I don't know if that's been announced yet.
Okay. Well,
but
cool.
During the music week.
Cool. More things to come.
I'll be there.
Okay, rad. Good.
I'll be there.
Well, so we talked about one song from Happy Season earlier, but I want to go through this and parse this and really like dig on all of these songs. So we'll start from the top. Happy Season, title track, first song, first thing. Like what made you like explain to me the world that's built within this song?
Okay. So, well, first of all, what nobody else will know is that obviously you're like you're my best friend in Nashville.
Yeah,
like, you're my best man in my wedding.
Hell yeah.
And what is cool is like I was writing another thing, and I asked you before I even had a plan of writing a next album after Get in My Arms. I was like, well, what is the next thing? What is the? I remember I told you. I said, as a fan, as a friend, and as an A&R guy, like, what is next?
Yep.
And you were like, I don't know about like an A&R guy or a fan, but like as your friend, you're happy.
Yep.
And like to me, the next thing is like whatever it is, it's like Phangs Happy Season. And I didn't tell you then, but I was just like, okay, that's the next album. I'm calling it Happy Season.
That was very weird to see like a dumb thing that I didn't realize I said like become a hashtag.
Yeah.
Like that was very funny to be like.
Yeah, because
hey,
I started tweeting it after that before I had even like really like announced anything.
I had left the room and I was like hashtag like HPSCN and I'm like, oh, yo,
what did
like,
I just do?
We did a thing. Thing. So you wanted like, I don't know, just from Get in My Arms, like the past release, there was this like, I don't know, not like it wasn't not a breakup album, but like a post-mortem of like, we're gonna look at this thing that happened, this is in the past, and now I'm in like a headspace to talk about it. Like I can look at this pretty objectively and not be as still emotionally sensitive to it. And that's what I think allowed you to go make Happy Season, because you're in the middle of pure joy.
I think that Get in My Arms was like an example of me. Sometimes in the past I don't deal with the stuff that I have to deal with emotionally, or and I needed to actually deal with it. And that album was me dealing with it and recognizing it and acknowledging it and then moving past it. Okay. Whereas Happy Season now is the celebration. It's like the exclamation point at the end of it. And so that song, I mean, it says like, the chorus says like, it's Happy Season, champagne for no reason. Like that's the vibe. Amazing. Like, and I just wanted it to be the first track because I don't know, like that's the point. Like,
it rolls out the red carpet.
Yeah, it's the thesis, I guess. Yeah.
And so much of this, stems from your relationship with Hope. And that was the thing, again, as someone who's been very close to you since we had met you in Nashville, like seeing you before, and then from the moment we met Hope at a party, there was just this very different person. And I think it's been so wonderful to watch like someone's mental well-being change so drastically, like from a person. And that's what I just hear in the songs, like this bursting at the seams of like the people around me, this person around me got me through to this new thing. To me, it's so much of like a love letter to Hope and to the things that have gotten me.
It's to Hope, it's to Nashville, it's to you, to Reggie. To like, it's this season. It's happening.
Okay, so let's talk then. So we know the emotion, we know your perspective behind it. Like, no one's heard this yet. You've teased it on Instagram, and I think you've put lyrics
leak everything
out.
Too much.
Why? That's it. Can we? Okay, before we talk songs, why? Like you?
I get excited, man. I don't know. I was in this room releasing "Get in My Arms" like 6 or 7 months ago. It's only been that long ago. Yeah. And so and I'm about to release another one. So I just get too impatient. I get excited.
And you drop
it's just who I am. And so I don't know. So I'll be driving and just like Instagram live for a second, a song being on like. I don't know. I just don't care. Okay,
so from what we can piece together, we've heard a good bit of the song in some places. So who'd you work on it with? What's the sound like? What's the sonic inspiration behind this first one?
I worked on the whole thing with this duo in Nashville called Truett. It's Brett and Brigida Truett, and honestly, whenever we accidentally started working together, which is also your fault. We'll get to that later.
Okay.
But they were like, well, what kind of vibe do you want to chase or whatever? And for real, the vibe of Happy Season and Eyes Off You, both of those songs were power lines from that movie, A Goofy Movie. That's for real what it is. That was my favorite movie as a kid.
That. So wait, the whole emotion behind now, this is just you wanted to make a Goofy Movie soundtrack?
Yeah.
Cool. Okay. Chill.
Yeah.
Really glad to know that all of the heartfelt emotion went to you trying to be a fake band from Goofy. Okay, cool. Okay, so you tell Truett that you want to be Powerlines 2.0.
Yeah, but Powerlines is a fake version of Michael Jackson and Prince.
Okay. And so you do real artists. Yeah.
So you know my feelings towards Michael Jackson. We worked together whenever Prince died, and I didn't come in. I called in.
Yeah, you did.
I didn't come to work.
Wow. I forgot about that.
Yeah, I didn't come to work when Prince died. That's not a thing. I can't function.
Yeah. Wow, that was a very weird day.
Yeah.
Well, so then, do these artists do you hear Prince? Do you hear what do you hear in the?
Yeah, I don't. I honestly I feel like every interview, every band is just it's next level, blah blah blah. But I personally it feels good to me, and I don't know really another person to compare it to besides that it came from a very Michael Jackson point of view for me, the whole album.
Okay. But again, there are 4,000 eras of Michael. So is this
off the wall?
Okay. Seeing this project through off the wall lens makes that everything just snaps into place. That's crazy.
Yeah.
Okay. So it's off the wall. It's those sounds.
Yeah.
Happy Season kind of rolls in, and then I think the song after that we already have is Eyes Off You, right?
Eyes Off You, yeah.
So this is a song we already have that's been out, that's been working.
Yeah.
Explain just a little bit, since everyone kind of already has an understanding.
Eyes Off You is legitimately it was just a song that Hope is just so cool, effortless.
The actual coolest, yeah.
And so I just wanted to write this song that was I've never really written songs that are directly about a person.
It's usually
it's always a figuratively
it's a subtweet.
A subtweet type thing, and this is a direct you're so cool, you always forget your freaking phone, and
that's my favorite line of the whole song.
Yeah,
that gives me this is the most terrifying feeling.
Yeah, I can't. We just talked about I have my notifications on.
Every notification ever on all the time.
I can't not have my phone, but she doesn't care. She's just so effortlessly I don't know. I'm just out and we're doing this. I don't know. It's weird.
Just existing. That's amazing.
And so it's cool. And I just wrote this song about that. Yeah.
Well, the video that had just come out, is super weird. And I didn't like it at first because I was like, you guys are really nice to each other, but you're being a ginormous creep in the video. Explain it.
I just wanted it to like, originally like what was being projected to me was like, hey, we should do this thing where it's like this sugary background and you're just like in front of a color and you're just like singing. I don't know. That's not.
Well, then it turned into you being a serial killer. Like it turned into a
well,
very.
I mean, like, it's weird because you saying that, like what I was about to say was like doing the like sugary pop thing is just not me.
Yep.
But also being a serial killer is not me.
It's also
but like
thankfully, yeah.
But I like to just make people think it's still lyrically correct.
Yep.
And I just there's just a different shade of it.
I can't take my eyes off you because I'm
literally,
watching you in your house.
Crazy. Yeah.
Okay, and so for that video, it didn't seem, and this was a conspiracy I saw on Twitter, I think, because you would put
that it's the same.
It's a continuation since Hope was the focus of the Always Been You video with Reggie. Someone I don't. There's probably like one Twitter user probably started this, but like there's a thread that combines that cinematic universe with this new one. Is that a real thing?
It's not a real thing, but it's funny because like it could in the video with Reggie for Always Been You, it's like I'm trying to get her attention over and over again, and every time I almost get it, something happens and I restart, and then I never like fully get her attention, and then at the end I do get her attention, but the last shot is me still like getting back to the point one on the couch, and I'm just getting up again. So I never really. Maybe it was not.
It's
real.
like the negative image.
Maybe it's just like in my head.
Yeah.
And maybe that's what drove me to be a psycho and like be in her house.
Yeah.
I don't know. I mean, it sounds interesting. I wish I would have thought of it.
We're actually not that smart. Yeah. It was the people who had investigated this are much better in these.
Twitter's smarter than me.
1,000 times smarter.
Yeah.
Okay, so then we have Happy Season, and then what's the song that comes next? You talked about it before, right? It's Good Now.
Good Now.
Okay, so explain Good Now, because that one is not an anomaly, but it's
Good Now is
different.
To me, if we're talking like Michael Jackson, it's like it's the Rock With You, which is coincidentally my favorite song of Michael Jackson's, because that song just grooves. It doesn't like there's not like the like pop pop like there's not like the hits like Thriller or something, like it just grooves the whole time. And that song is a groover to me.
Who'd you do with? Who'd you write it with? Explain the Nashville.
So I wrote that song with Sleeping Lion, with those guys, and we wrote it at Warner, and it was kind of, honestly, we had to wrestle the song because we started working, and the guys were like, "Yeah, I want to write this super sad song," and I was just like, not sad. And I think they had just heard my previous stuff, and they were like, "Cool, we're just gonna write a sad song, like a super feeler, emotional song." And then I went and got coffee with Nate, one of the guys, and he realized during that conversation that I was super happy and things were going well.
Yep.
At this time, there was no album being written. It was just writing a song.
Oh, okay. So
there was no album in mind at all. That's the day that you told me the Happy Season thing.
What an accidentally impactful day for all of us. Okay.
And so we were just writing a song and not knowing if it was going to be a Phangs song, if it was going to be anything, a song for someone else, a song for them. And they said, we got back, and Nate said, well, shit, maybe things are good now. And I was like, yeah, that's tight.
Maybe.
And so we just wrote the song with the hook being like, maybe things are good now. And that was like the point. I don't know. We just wrote this whole song that was like, kind of that song is like Get In My Arms 2.0. It's like the next book.
Yeah. I think it's like there's I forget the phrase. It's like cautious optimism. Like, hey, like we got out of this past thing. Like, I don't want to call it too early because things have gone.
Still like tiptoeing.
Like this is really good and it has been really good. Like, wow, maybe things are good now. Maybe. That's why it's such a conversational line. It of course just comes from like
it's
an
not
afterthought.
The exclamation point of everything else. It's still just kind of this like,
Okay, amazing. And then for that song, that like, and I think even stylistically, there's definitely, there are some 80s driven synths and like that era of Michael thing. And I think I think that is a bit of an outlier on the record, just in terms of the swing of it. Like you said, like it doesn't have to jump out at you. It just exists in this space, and you can be in it or not, and it just
there's this vibe that like. So whenever I write songs, I still think about the kid version of me that like
The one who opens "Get in My Arms"?
No, like yes. So like, well, not that far back.
Oh, okay.
But like the tween kid that was like writing in a notebook all the time, like really wanting to write lyrics, but like didn't know what I was doing. I think about that kid all the time because I just went to my room and was just like feeling something. And now it's like there's formats and there's time constraints and there's keys and there's blah, blah, blah. Back then I didn't know any of that stuff. Yep. I was just writing. And I think about that all the time and how just like super emotional I was. I was just like a little emotional kid. And I think it's like subconsciously in the back of my head, but at the same time I want it to be like, I think about the live show. I think about like how other people are going to react to it. And I sent the album to a friend of mine in Nashville recently, and he sent back to me the text that was like the most like, what's the word? I don't know. It was like it made me feel like I did the right thing.
Yeah.
And he said, this whole album feels like I could like dance to it, but also be in my room all by myself.
Oh.
And I was like, that's exactly what it was. Like, that's exactly the vibe. Like, I wanted it to be that. I want for a kid to be in their room and feel these things, but also like be with a group of all their best friends, and like still feel the same thing.
And that is funny. Like, I assume what you're talking about, like baby emo Jake, is pretty much the same person as now Jake.
It is.
You still watched the OC. You still listened to Whitney Houston. Like none of these things changed. You just got like a few years older.
Yeah. Just got like hair on my face now.
Okay, so Good Now so that's in its own space, and then the song after follows is One of These Days? One of Those Days, right? Okay, explain that one.
One of Those Days. Yeah, One of Those Days.
One of those words, yeah.
One of These Days? Yeah, it's One of Those Days. And that song is like, honestly, there's something going on with Hope. I don't remember what happened, but I don't like I'm super still the same person like we were just talking about, like being emotional or whatever. But stress just doesn't get me the same. I'm very laid back. Yeah. And for being in a relationship with someone else, like being in a relationship, I understand that other people don't function the same way sometimes. And there was just something in particular that morning, the day of that write, that was going on. And Hope was just not having a super great morning or something.
Was it the day her tire popped and you were doing something? I remember getting that call where Hope was like, I think.
I don't remember what day it was. I don't know. Something was going on.
Yeah.
And I just remember I went into this write being it's just one of those days, man. You don't, who cares? You get another one tomorrow if you're lucky. I don't know.
Fingers crossed.
And so saying the lyric is if you're not fine, don't pretend you are anyways. Because I don't mind, there's nothing I need you to say. That's the vibe. Who, I don't know, when you love somebody, when you care about somebody, it's just one of those days. I don't know.
And thankfully, like you said, or hopefully rather, you get another swing at it the next day.
Yeah.
Okay.
So I don't know, I just wrote the song about I don't know, just trying not to stress. I think somebody on Twitter recently was talking about how my songs are sad sometimes.
Sometimes?
Yeah. And I was just telling them that really the songs aren't sad at all. They're very empowering. If you really listen to them, they're super empowering. Everything that I write, from the previous stuff, Used to Dream, Used, all those songs, they're very empowering. If you really listen to it's moving forward. It's always progressive. It's never wallowing.
Yep.
And that's the point of One of Those Days, is to not wallow and to continue.
Well, speaking of powerful songs then, the one after, which I think we had talked a little bit about before, or at least in the ideas, is it I Forgot About You?
I Forgot You.
I Forgot You.
Yeah.
That one, to me, because you had played this live a few times, and it is a really self-assured, almost relief of a song. So explain, build this world out for me.
Yeah, so with I Forgot You, obviously, when I'm getting in my feels,
your natural state of being.
When you get to that point, who do you listen to? You listen to Frank Ocean.
Correct answer.
Yeah, the king of the fields.
Tape. We can stop recording. That's all we
So I was listening to Frank, and I say the name Frank at the end of the song.
I laughed out loud when you played that last week. I forgot about that line.
Yeah.
And someone next to me thought I was like having a seizure because I just like, yo, so thank you for setting that up.
And so, you know the like stupid thing on Facebook that's like on this day?
Oh, like the memories
see
thing.
The memories, like one of those things popped up, just like being in my feels a little bit about who knows what. The day.
Yep.
The OC.
It was a sad episode of the OC.
Yeah. Seth Cohen was going through something. And so I'm like scrolling through though, and I see this picture from this like previous relationship. Mm-hmm. And what's crazy is, as someone who just feels things really deep sometimes, like when it's happening, when like a crappy situation's happening, you just ultra feel it and you don't feel past it.
Yeah.
And you think like, I'm never gonna get past this. I'm never gonna forget this.
Yeah.
And going through that day and seeing this photo, I was like, oh my gosh, like I forgot about this.
Yeah.
All I've wanted this whole time was to forget about this.
To put this in the past, to keep this where it belongs. To
find the point that from here where everything sucks, to continue to be like, this is the point where I forgot it. Mm-hmm. I went past it and didn't realize that was the point.
That you aren't even out of the, I have to force this out of my brain. It's oh wow,
this is gone. We did and this. I forgot that I forgot about it.
Then. Yeah. And I again, to circle back on the person who I think actually, if there's an executive producer to the whole project, it is Hope.
It is Hope, yeah.
And I think a person, it'd be a much harder mountain to climb if you were doing this alone in a vacuum, like without another person, without this. So there's that emotional void, and that gets filled, and not only filled, but surpassed because that person does so many things for you. Correct. And your like so much of your brain then goes to like how amazing this person is that you just forget like, oh yeah, that bad thing is fine because it got me to this next point.
Totally, yeah. That's so the whole song is just like feeling that, and like it inspired like specifics and memories and things that just like don't mean the same things to me anymore. Dates and photos and things. I don't know.
That's all
songs.
That's
amazing.
Crazy. I do, and I want the record to show because we fought a lot about this. You could have referenced any other artists in terms of who gets you over things.
Yeah.
I really would have expected like a Childish Gambino reference or something.
I know.
So hearing the Frank shout out is very fulfilling to me.
Gambino to me is empowering. Frank lets me feel the emotion.
Frank, you can open the door. Frank
just lets me soak in. Donald lets me like walk out the door at the end of it.
Okay, good. Yeah. I like that split. So then, in speaking of power and feeling better, the last song on the record, which just smacks, is Dry Eyes. The kind of, I don't want to say the whole album leads up to this point, because it is almost the exclamation point at the end of the sentence that this is like, it very much so goes there. And production wise, it is a hammer, and lyrically it is so like, after I forgot, like, we're just so past this now. Like, so explain this one. You've been around for that song. Mm-hmm. That song got written like 5 times. Yeah. Like oh my
5
gosh.
different times.
There are. You could do a whole EP of Dry Eyes
just
re-edits.
Yeah.
Wow.
So, and this is the final version, and the song's called Dry Eyes, and this was accidentally the first song that I wrote for the album, because it was for someone else originally.
It was for Pitch. It was for another project.
It was for another project, and then that didn't make, and I asked for it to release it as Phangs, and it got cleared, and luckily I got it, and that's the weird thing about like Nashville. A lot of people probably don't realize that outside of Nashville, that like people just write songs for other people all the time. Yeah. And I was writing a song with Truett, which is actually the first time that I'd ever written with Truett.
That was for the first one?
You got us together for the first time in a room.
Wow.
And we wrote that song together, and then we were like, hey, we should keep writing. And we wrote all of Happy Season after that.
Wait, that was the first?
It's all your fault that this exists.
Cool. Okay, good to know. So we accidentally helped make things.
So, we wrote that song, and the whole thing, Dry Eyes, is just like being past something. Yep. It's like the ultimate, like, the oop to the alley, like the whole album is the alley, and you just slam the oop. Like,
oop to the. I've literally in my entire existence never heard alley oop be separate ever.
Yeah.
Like that. Okay, amazing.
That's what it is.
Well, then for that song though, like it feels different. It just feels so almost the opposite end of the emotional spectrum of like there are other like this record. There are a ton of moments where it is like things get to you, things cut deep. But this one is more of like, it's jiggy. It moves, it bounces. Like it just has such an interesting. Like I wouldn't have imagined it to be a Phangs song originally, but that's the same way of like Ed Sheeran wrote "Shape of You" for Rihanna, and she didn't want it, and then that becomes someone's biggest song. Like it was a thing that wasn't.
When we were writing the song, I never ever thought that it was a Phangs song, and then as we wrote "Eyes Off You," we wrote "One of Those Days," wrote "Happy Season." It was like, wait, I want that song. Like that song feels right to me.
Wait, that bangs. Like
wait, give me that. And so I don't know. I'm really lucky to have had it and to write it. I think that's part of it, is writing it like 5 times over to be like, this is good, but let's make it better. Yeah. This is good, but let's make it better. And to write it like 5 times over, I've never done that for a song. Really? I always just like
first thought, best thought.
I spend like a week tops. And when I say a week, like 2 days of that week working on a song. Okay. Tops. Okay. Every other song, Eyes Off You is like a 4-hour session.
Wait, really?
Eyes Off You is like 4 hours. What else? I Forgot You was maybe like a 6-hour session. Everything is maybe 6 hours each song.
That's like the Nashville thing, though, because everybody's just bouncing around houses
like
every day.
11 to 5 and like get done. But like this song was like months of work.
It was the Kanye making Pusha T rewrite the Runaway verse 13 times.
Yeah, and so like we finally like got that out, and once it was done, and it wasn't like going anywhere, I had to have it. I like thought about it every day, and I wanted to have it really bad, and I don't know.
And now it bolsters the back half of the album. Like there are so many that
I mean, it's almost like the anti to where Get in My Arms was this album and Happy Season was this album. Get in My Arms ends with Time Goes By, which is like the most like downer, sad song.
A very sad song, yeah.
And this one ends with like the most empowering song ever.
Yeah, you dug the deepest hole by the end of Get in My Arms, only for you to not only come out by the end of it, but on a whole different plane. It's just a totally different person.
Yeah, they like totally connect. It's the yin yang like thing for me. I don't know what's gonna be after that, but
all right, that's rad. Okay, so let's plug some things. Let's talk about what you have coming up, because there's a lot of, especially in Nashville, we got a lot of shit going on. So what's the next chapter look like for you now?
Well, I'm playing a show in here in Rooted, just because I love sneakers and like
these guys word to Rooted. Because you did the Get in My Arms release, which was, I don't know if there's like a fire capacity here, but like there was a certain amount of me that thought like this could be a hazard, like really quick.
It was crazy because it was like really full. Yeah. And one of the guys here, Jaime, he texted me like a month ago and was like, yo, just by the way, like you can double whatever you had here last time. Wow. And I was like, are you sure? And he was like, yeah, let's get it. So we're doing that, and it's gonna be crazy, and like we're doing bigger things. There's like more merch. There's like we're like customizing the space. Okay. The shoes will be out. I might buy some shoes like right after this. I don't know yet.
That's how we're gonna end this. Is you're just gonna jump down, grab 4 pair of sneakers, and just dip. Okay.
Dip. Yep. We're doing a show here, and then I'm doing a Happy Season, like one more house tour thing. Okay, great. I'm doing that, and then South by and a few festival things, and probably I don't know. Probably write another album. Yeah. I wrote another song the other day with Truett, like another one. I don't know.
Is it and for the record, because categories are meaningless at this point, but I have to know, what is Happy Season? What is is it an EP? Is it a mini album? Is it
I guess it's an EP. Okay. I don't know.
But that also, like, people...
It's just a collection of songs. Drake just released 2 songs and it was an EP. Like,
that's come on, still buck wild to me. And one of them is the biggest song. None of this makes sense. Someone had just released, it was 12 songs, but they called it a double EP. Like, nah, dog, album. That's an album. That's an album. That's a full-ass album. It's the future. We have this conversation all the time. It's the future. Like, people just want music. It's just it's a collection of songs. I don't care. Do you see, and this might be a spoiler alert, do you see more songs coming in 2018, or do you think you're going to ride out the rest of Happy Season?
No, there's more stuff. I already have more stuff.
More songs, more life, just more
one song,
things.
I don't think I've like actually talked about it, but like Louder is getting reproduced, that song. Okay. And like I'm trying to get that song out. Great. I've been sitting on that song for like 2 years almost. That song.
I've known that song as long as I've known you.
Yeah. There's like remixes and there's. Great. I've already written some other stuff. I mean, I don't know. I can't sit still. I don't want to sit still. I want more stuff to come out.
Okay, well, good.
Plus, like, I mean, it's interesting, like, going to South by again. Last year when I went, like, you were there at the room, like, it hit capacity during my set. I had 3 songs out.
Wow, yeah, you did. Phangs had just started.
Yeah, and that was a year ago. And this year, going to South by, I've got 2, like, EPs and those singles.
Wow.
So, like, I don't know. We'll see what happens for this next year.
Amazing. All right, well, I think you've told me all you can until I don't want to spoil things. Let's go buy some shoes and get out of here. Thank you again to Rooted for having us come hang out at the show. Come buy shoes here. Come buy things that are much cooler than things we wear. Anything else for the fans? PHANS fans?
Yeah, thanks. It's tight. It's cool that this gets to happen. I don't know. This is silly. I didn't think I'd ever get to do this stuff. It's cool.
Sick. Word to your fans. Cool. Thanks, y'all. Let's go get some shoes.
Tight.